I was diagnosed with ADHD, and for most of my childhood, high school, I was medicated, did well, played sports, did very well. And then after high school, going into college, 16, 17, stopped taking my ADHD meds regularly, started fooling around with drugs, ended up hurting myself, got prescribed opiates. My nose is not just from fights and hockey and a lot of destruction, it's from a tumor I was born with. So I grew up my whole childhood with a scar on my nose, and I was made fun of. And I mean, terrible kids aside, didn't fit in as well at school. But when it came to hockey, I did great. I was a star hockey player. I was a captain. I was a leader. I was a big part of my life. So like the idea that, I wasn't good enough wasn't really the problem. It was when I got to like 16, 17, and I had nowhere to go and no way to probably exercise those sports skills and stuff like that. So I kind of lost my identity. I'd say when I did opiates for about 15 years. So when I began, methadone clinics were a new thing. People didn't even like them being opened in their neighborhoods at that point, right? It was very frowned upon. At that point, there was lineups down streets at some places. People were getting robbed for methadone, all sorts of crazy things. I was lucky in my addiction where the time and the place and the person I was at the time, that I had a pretty decent access to drugs and money and a place to stay. The idea that what I was doing was wrong and that it was, a choice, and that, I could stop if I wanted to, if I just tried. It wasn't even looked at as a disease back then. I don't believe it was just an addiction. So, a lot of things have changed. But like anything else, it takes time for people to change with it. So the idea that, it's a disease, and that, with proper treatment and help, and not just being isolated and left alone to, deal with it on their own. People just need to understand that now. And unless people are open-minded to the idea that, we're not just addicts and drug addicts and homeless people that just want to get high, not much is going to change. I'd say now, the idea, like we were having a conversation before about, racism, or, whether it be religion or fascism, it's not as prevalent as in your face as it once was, but it's still there when it comes to politics, society, systemic racism. I identify as an Indigenous man. I don't look like one in some places. I'm still categorized as like a white cis man. So yeah, I don't know. For myself, I still deal with things on the forefront and people saying things that aren't quite politically correct, I guess you can say. But I deal with it in different ways now, and I educate people. I spend a lot of time now, with people in active addiction, fighting for their lives, homeless. I think I try and do my best to keep it in front of me so I know where I've come from and what I can go back to basically at any day of my life. It doesn't take much. And now I do my best to, keep myself present and in the moment. And I'm always trying to figure out how to keep myself on track things are a lot harder out there now than they've ever been. And even with addiction, it's not gotten easier in any way in that case. So people are just alone. They feel alone. So that idea that I can, for any amount of time, have that person not feel like they're alone and feel a part of, feel like they can still be part of the community, feel like they're worth something. I think that it's like the best we can do right now until things start to change.